Thank you for tuning in to Suki Says. I have tonight's guest caller on the line, Allison Josephs of Jew in the City. Allison, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. It's beautiful out.
Yeah, same here.
Could you tell me a little bit about your website and about what prompted you to start Jew in the City?
Yeah, sure. So Jew in the City is dedicated to breaking down misconceptions about Orthodox Jews. I was not raised Orthodox. I was raised as a proud conservative Jew, and I grew up with a lot of misunderstandings. And in my mind, all Orthodox Jews were extreme, fanatical, backwards, anti-women, anti-science, crazy people. And I had so many misunderstandings, and I realized that most people actually do. And when I became observant myself, I realized that so many people misunderstand so many things about us. And with the age of social media and YouTube, there's a way to put yourself out there in an accurate way when movies and TV, depict us in such ridiculous, over-the-top caricatures.
So what are some of the things that you used to think that you've discovered maybe weren't true?
Okay, so I think the first thing, the biggest misconception across the board is the hole in the sheet. I had a cleaning lady that actually changed my sheets that was, asking me, is that true, the hole in the sheet? I said, did you ever see one in my bed? So I think that's something that most people believe, that Orthodox Jews have sex through a hole in the sheet. That's completely not true. In the right time and place, sex is actually one of the holiest things that a married couple can do. So just that idea that modesty equals prudishness or anti-sex is very against Jewish thought. Another thing I thought was that all Orthodox women have shaved heads under their wigs. This is only a small percentage of Hasidic women that do. The majority of us have plenty of wonderful hair growing under our wigs. What else? I thought that, Orthodox women were all second-class meek citizens, second-class citizens, meek people that had no voices. I've met some of the most powerful women, strong, respected. What else? Science is a major thing. People think that, there's no way to believe in both, the Torah and in, evolution and the Big Bang Theory, and there's opinions that, you can believe in both. I'd say those are some of the, the main misconceptions that I had that I learned were, quite different.
Now, you mentioned modesty, and actually it's one of the more highly discussed topics as of late, not just in any one religious group, but in the world right now, everything from, magazine covers to in the home discussions. So how has the concept of modesty, how has that evolved for you?
Sure. So, I was raised pretty much, I think, the world that I grew up in secular America was, if you've got it, flaunt it. And I never considered myself to be like an inappropriate person. We had values. We were good people. But it was more just like when it's hot outside, you don't wear so much clothing. If you have a good body, why wouldn't you show it off? And, I was raised with a mother who would talk about her heyday when she would wear the little mini skirts that barely covered her tuchus. And, that was the message for me was, when I get old enough, I'll be able to, barely cover my tuchus too. And what I learned about Jewish modesty that I really didn't understand, I always equated modesty with frumpiness, and I equated modesty with ugliness, and the idea behind Jewish modesty is nothing like that at all. There are some people, I'll put it like this, there are some people within the Orthodox world that do believe you should look unattractive, I think, and you shouldn't, look too beautiful. There is a strain like that, so I can't deny that, but there's a large group out there that believes that it's, very good to look nice and put together, and that the idea is to be attractive without being attracting, that you can look, beautiful and wear, beautiful colors, and you can even wear something that's figure flattering. Just the idea is to not become sexualized in your clothes, that it shouldn't be overtly sexual, that, you can look beautiful, but, it shouldn't sort of cross that line. And so that's something that I, really strive to do, to find that balance where, you can be stylish and attractive, but also, keep yourself refined still.
One of the things I myself liked about watching some of your answers and we'll get to that in a second, but you talked a little bit about going back to wigs. Now, you wear a wig. Not everybody necessarily knows that, or they see you and they don't necessarily think, oh, she's wearing a wig, because it's a good wig. And it isn't about the hair being prettier than your real hair. It's about keeping something private.
Exactly. Right. So that's really the idea behind behind modesty, that it's about, not everything being open for public consumption. A good friend of mine made this example when I was asking about, are wigs really kosher? Are we kind of getting around some sort of loophole with this? she said, like, your average woman, what does her thighs look like? Cellulite, varicose veins. Most of us, by the time we put on our Spanx and put on our push-up bra and everything else, we're probably looking better in our clothing than we would be, if we were walking around naked. And yet it's not more modest to walk around with an unattractive naked body. The idea is that whatever is beneath those clothes, that's not for the whole world to know about. And there's also, I think, in some circles in secular society, there's this idea that, like, modesty is not a big deal, like, the body's not a big deal, get over it. I think there was, like, a march maybe somewhere up in Maine or something. Women were marching through the street topless, and their idea was, hey, men, it's not a big deal when we see their chests, so why should it be a big deal when we see women's chests? Get over it. And the truth is that the Jewish idea is that, like, a woman's chest should be a big deal. It should be a huge deal. A woman's chest should excite her husband when he sees it. And the way that it does is that when we keep it covered up, there's a chance to uncover. So we really believe that in order to preserve excitement and, sort of that spark between the couple, you have to have something covered first so that you have the opportunity to uncover it.
Now, I like that Jew in the City has become more of an online community rather than just a blog or a forum. What kind of feedback have you been getting?
I'm so humbled by the range of people that I hear from. I think I was originally, when I started, it was just expecting to be reaching out to, secular Jews that hadn't had so much experience with Orthodox Jews, kind of people like who I was before I became observant. But I hear from non-Jews, I hear from observant Jews, I hear from people that used to be religious that had a bad experience and see that there's a different way to, do it in a fun way, to, do it with love, to be, lighthearted. So, overall, the response that I've gotten from really across the spectrum has been so positive, and I've, just even spiritual people are contacting me and saying, that the way that I explain sort of connecting with God in a universal sense is something that speaks to them and their religion. So, thank God, for the most part, very positive. Every so often I hear from someone, who's criticizing me for being an apologist on the left side or on the right-wing side, it's not modest. So I do, get the dissenting comments every now and again, but for the most part, really a lot of positivity.
I was going to say, I like that you are, I think I told you this, a woman carving out a name and a voice for yourself in what could be considered a boys' club. Is you mostly hear about men who are the ones that talk. You know what I mean?
So I'll tell you something. Look, in terms of, roles, in terms of a synagogue, yes, like there is the rabbi role, and a woman doesn't have a similar thing, although there is actually this idea of a rebbitzin, a rabbi's wife, to also be a leader. But there's many Jewish religious writers and speakers, and they're just not online like I am as much. I don't think many Orthodox Jews are online, and really no one's ever said to me, like, hey, what are you trying to do there? You shouldn't be doing that. Again, except for like a couple, people here and there. For the most part, I think people are so proud that I'm putting this voice out there that is really everyone that they know, but I'm putting out there in a public way. And even in the more ultra-Orthodox Hasidic circles, there was a movie a few years ago called Ushpizin. It was about, it was an Israeli movie. It's an excellent movie with English subtitles. Anyone should see it if they want sort of an insight into this world. And they originally had written the wife's character, and she was actually married to the leading role, as a more meek, meager type of character. And when the real-life religious Hasidic woman saw this, she said, this isn't real, this isn't true. You need to give her more chutzpah and more, more flavor. And they wrote her in with, more of a voice, and she's very outspoken in the movie. So I think if people aren't exposed to it is really what it comes down to.
All right. Now, you answer a variety of different questions. Are there any that you tend to get more often or even all the time?
There's such a range of different things. People are sometimes curious about how to become more observant. I hear from a lot of non-Jews that are looking to convert, actually. That's a question that I hear pretty often. They have like this spiritual pull towards something Jewish. What should they do? That seems to be a common theme. But I really heard from, all different types of people, all different sorts of questions. So I'm not sure if there's one thing that I could say is, an overriding question.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I've got the Maccabeats queued up for you.
Oh, excellent.
I'm kind of getting into them. Have you been able to see them live?
So I've met them. I've been to a couple parties with them before, but I've never actually seen them in concert. So I should maybe catch them with mime at some point. Maybe that would be a good thing to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting with me today.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.